Hi BookTube and happy Friday. I have quite the assortment of things to share with you because I want to talk about the books I'm currently reading, the books I hauled this week because I had yet another stressful week. And so of course I went and did some retail therapy at bookstores because if I did any other kind of retail shopping, it wouldn't have been therapy because I despise clothes shopping and other things, but books I can get on board with shopping. And then I wanted to do like a live TBR for my weekend because along with participating in Oldest August and Garb August, I am participating in the Deck of TBR-a-thon, and that's where you pick a random card and then that card gives you a prompt, and there's you collect points. So like for example, I have it on my phone here. So when I pick a card, I can look at the prompts because I did not have them memorized. For example, for the number 2 card, it's related to your last read, and so you get 1 point if it's the same genre as your previous book, 3 points if it's the same color, and then 5 points if it's the same last name of the author, your previous book. So they both have the same last, they have the same letter starting their last name, same letter of author's last name. That makes sense. So yeah, I've been like collecting my points throughout the month, and so there's 2 different teams. There is Team TBR and Team Mood Reader. So I am on Team TBR. So I thought it'd be really fun to like draw some cards, and then we can go through some of these prompts and see what I end up reading for this weekend. Because I went out and about today, and so I have no plans at all for the rest of the weekend. I am staying in. I need that downtime for sure. So before I pick the new books, I want to talk about some of my currently reading books for Friday Reads. So I am reading Mark Twain, The Life on the Mississippi. This is a book I selected for Oldest August because it's just been sitting on my shelf for the last 3.5 years, gathering dust. I've read Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. But these other 2 books in this collection, Life on the Mississippi and Pudd'nhead Wilson, never read. Life on the Mississippi I have wanted to read for forever. Like ever since I heard about it. But so I'm finally reading it now. I am, let's see, this isn't gonna make sense with page numbers because it's, you know, it's a bind up of many books. So let me see here. I can see where this book begins. I just started reading it yesterday. Okay, so from page 1 I have read that many. So 227 to 378, so about 150 pages I read yesterday, and so I have, I think, 200 pages or so to go, or maybe more than that. Okay, here, it's a 616, so yeah, 220 pages or so, 30 pages to go to read. So that is my current read, and this is all about Mark Twain's, it starts with talking about the Mississippi River and the geography of it, and then it talks about how as a kid, you know, what he wanted to aspire to, and then how he really, you know, the steamboats were really, you know, a thing back then. He talks about how they, you know, they actually, you know, they went out of business, you know, later on. But right now I'm in the part where he's just learning how to navigate the waters, how he, you know, can pilot or captain the boat, and like with the different edges of the river, what that means, or like different like lines in the water, you know, what's underneath there. This is all before we had any of that technology. So yeah, I'm really liking this book. I don't know why I'm surprised, because I do tend to really like his work. Even though I think I've only read the 2. I might have read something else by him, but it's like, I feel like I have, but it's like, I can't think of it on top of my head. And then the other book is Remembering Main Street by Pat Ross, an American album. I picked this up, I want to say, over the summer. And I picked this up because it included several towns that I have been to before, or quite a few, because it's all about small town America. And it's all about what it used to be like, and then what it is current day. So you visit several small towns in America. So I actually picked this book up right near this town of Grass Valley, California. And I really like that town. It's like an old mining town. It has like lots of historic front buildings, and it just you feel like you flash back to the 1800s. And then there's Livingston, Montana, Sheridan, Wyoming. I've been to both of those. Cedarburg, Wisconsin is mentioned, and if anyone watches the Cedarburg Public Library, there's like a running show with the librarian and Steve Donahue, which if you haven't seen that show, it's worth a watch. They are so funny. They like the banter between the two is just great. And so I've never been to Cedarburg, Wisconsin, but I feel like I can get a feel for it from this book. There's Van Buren, Arkansas, Lexington, Virginia. I've been there. Chestertown, Maryland, Oberlin, Ohio, and then Great Barrington, Massachusetts, and Wickford, Rhode Island. I think is where that little star is right there. So I've only read the first 2 chapters. I've gone through Chestertown, Maryland, and Lexington, Virginia. So I'm just reading a chapter a day of this, but I wanted to share with it. It's full of colored photos. And it's just a really, really, charming book. But I can show you some of the inside. So it talks about the brickwork. It has, old churches and like old photos along with like current photos. This book came out in 1990, I think, and so it's not, that current now. 1994. But yeah, it was worth the $1 I paid for. So there's that one, and yes, there's the 2 books I'm reading right now. So this one I'm going to read first before moving on, and then so the other one, reading one a day. So before I do the TBR, deck of TBR pulling cards, I was going to share with you the books I picked up today. Like I said, it's been a week of stress, and I just need to get out of the house because I work from home, so my office is at home, so it's nice to just like break away for a little bit. Fable's right beside me. I had to take her to the vet for her shots and stuff, and so she did really good. Yeah. I wish I could say she's right here beside me. But everyone is passing treats to her at the vet, and so I actually had to go back a second time because they got her weight wrong, and so like I needed to order some of her medications, and I wanted to make sure her weight was right because otherwise they bumped her up to like the extra large dog that had her at 95 pounds, but she was at 85. Like I was standing right there when they weighed her. But then when I got her papers when I got home, I went to go order the medication from their website. I was like, wait a second, this isn't right. So I had to take her back today because this was all yesterday. So yeah, so she's gone twice and she couldn't wait. She knew exactly where she was today. She ran up the steps like we have to get in there and visit all my friends. So yeah, she might make an appearance. She might pop up here. So yes, I did quite a bit of book shopping. I went to Powell's, which is like the big bookstore here. I went to the library bookstore, and then I did a little bit of free library browsing because I had accumulated like 10 or so books that I'm getting rid of, and so often for those like older books or like just old like books that I don't think used bookstores would take for credit, I just dropped this off a free little free library. So I have 3 different categories to share with you. So the first book is Golden Legacy by Leonard S. Marcus, and this is all about the little golden books that we all I feel like grew up reading. And even if you weren't a reader, I feel like parents or daycares or kindergarten classes would always stock these books, and so it goes through like the history of the little golden books. And so I was like, I could not pass this book up. This book came out in 2007, but it's celebrating, like I said, the 65th anniversary. But I'm trying to find some of the ones that at least I would recognize from when I was a kid. But they all have like that golden spine. This book kind of has it on just the edges here, but not actually on this. It would have been really cool, I feel like, if it was all like that shiny gold foiling there. There's all sorts of books I've never even heard of. There's one Exploring Space. So like I feel like reading this book, I am just going to want to pick up a whole shelf of little golden books. Let's see. It's kind of like unwieldy to share with you, but I feel like this first book here, the Little Pokey Puppy, because I had that as a kid. I feel like that's synonymous with the little golden books. And this one said the subtitle is How Golden Books Won Children's Hearts, Changed Publishing Forever, and Became an American Icon Along the Way. So I feel like after I finish this coffee table book, I'm gonna want to move on to the Golden Legacy. Okay, so then let me see. I have my bag of books. I finally got one of these. I did a whole vlog on Portland's Book Week. They all the bookstores and all the independent bookstores and used bookstores and what have you. I think it was like, I want to say, I can't remember now. If it was over 40 or 50 bookstores in this area, worth participating in it. So I finally got one of these book bags that I've been wanting for quite a while, but I just didn't want to pay the money for it, so I got this for under $10. And so I was like, now I have something to carry my books around with. So we'll start off with some Little Free Library picks. The Tryout by Christina Sonternvet. I like picking these up, especially at Little Free Libraries, these like graphic novels, because these aren't typically something I would want to pay for, but if it's free, then I will get it. And so this is like, you know, a scholastic book about you know, young kids joining the cheerleading squad, and so it just looks like lots of light fun and quick easy read. Okay, let's see. I got a pile that wanted to. I didn't exactly organize these before I started this video, so let me pull out the other Little Free Library books. Okay, so I have an old mystery book, Come Death and High Water by Anne Cleves. And this case, it all has like the yellow, the old yellow spine. Although I want to say, I feel like this book isn't too old. 1987, because I've read Anne Cleves before, like current, I mean, you know, published ebook. So I know her books are still in print. And then I have The List of Things That Will Not Change by Rebecca Stead. This caught my eye because I currently on my TBR for Oldest August, a book that I've had on my shelf for over 3 years, is this one by her, When You Reach Me. Because I'm like slowly, not collecting, but I'm slowly reading the Newbery Honor and Winter books. And so I mentioned when I pulled this book off my shelf, it was as one of my older books. I think it's like the cover. Something about the cover isn't drawing me in, but I'm going to get to that this book this month. So hopefully this book won't linger on my shelves for 3 years, because that it just doesn't make sense for children's books to stay that long on my shelf, because I can get through them, you know, in an hour or two. Okay, so there's that. And then the last Little Free Library book I have is Thornhill by Pam Smythe. And the cover is what drew me in. It's another one of those hardcovers where all the illustrations and, you know, the cover's like printed on the actual hardcover. Oh, and I got a glittery free bookmark at that Little Free Library. I love when there's little like knickknacks there. I've seen, you know, different Little Free Libraries where there's puzzles or dog treats. My favorite, she really likes that when that happens. You know, little knickknacks and things. It's cool. Like I've seen like ones where like kids have painted little stones with. I have one in my car actually. I got from a Little Free Library where it was like a bee, and then it was like "Be kind" or something on the back, but it was like it had a bee painting on the front of it. So you know, little things like that. But anyway, so this one on the dust jacket, or not the dust jacket, on the back here, it says, "A lonely girl in a new town, a ghostly figure in the window, a derelict old house, and a mystery spanning the decades." And it's giving me like gothic vibes, or like maybe October reads. And so it's a book, but there's tons and tons of illustrations in here. So yeah, there's some writing, and then you get, so it's like some writing in between lots and lots of pictures. I feel like it's more pictures than it is writing. But I feel like this has to be a book I read in October, if not sooner. So interested to see what this is going to be about. It's kind of reminding me of, there were several books I read years ago. I'm really blanking on the author's name, but there's one I feel like a hot air balloon was one of them. Anyone who's like maybe like a middle grade reader would know what I'm talking about. So they were middle grade books, but with tons and tons of artwork in them. Okay, so then going to books I got at the library bookstore. Witness to the Civil War, first-hand accounts from Frank Leslie's illustrated newspaper, and this was published by Smithsonian, and it was saying at the cover here, the dust jacket, Frank Leslie's illustrated newspaper was a primary source of information during the dark days of the Civil War, and so the reporters and artists who traveled with the armies were eyewitnesses to the events, great and small, that captivated readers. And so this is publishing those articles, and it has tons and tons of the ink line drawings that were published in those newspapers during the days of the Civil War. And so I could not pass this book up. If nothing else, I can at least appreciate and like flip through all the artwork. But I have a strong suspicion I will be sitting down and reading this one as well. So it's another coffee table book I'm like, can't wait to read. Let me see here. Look at the other library bookstore books. The Border in Bloom, a Northwest Garden Through the Seasons by Anne Lovejoy. I'm not a gardener by no stretch of the imagination. I have never gardened a day in my life. I have no potted plants or anything, but the cover was just so charming. And then just the idea of like going through the seasons. I have so many nature books on my shelves that it's like going through the years, going through a specific season, things like that. And so gardening isn't too far away from, you know, birds or, you know, a specific region or area. So I feel like I can get on board with this. And it just, yeah, there's some art inside. Oh, it's actually, oh, it pulls out. Okay. Okay, I get it. You're going through the season. So you have, let's see here. I just now realized. So you have winter, and then it goes to spring, and then we have summer. Oh, this is really cool. And then autumn. Here. Yeah, so yeah, there's a pull-out, there's everything. Oh my goodness, this sounds just delightful. This is another book, like, I just want to read it right now. And I might with the TBR game. So let's see, we have New Spring, a Wheel of Time prequel in the beginning. My boyfriend is, it's funny, he's collecting these Robert Jordan, like with the original artwork, but he's only read books 1 and 2. I've read, this was like these were like my introduction to adult fantasy. I read fantasy as a kid, like, you know, witches and magic and, you know, what have you, sci-fi and fantasy as a kid, but no like big series. If anything, there was like a trilogy, you know, that kind of thing. But when I was in college, I had a friend who loved fantasy books, and this was one of her favorite series. And so she introduced me to the series, like, you have to read it. And so I read it, you know, way before, you know, there was a TV show or anything like that. It was like back in 2008. And so I've read the series at least twice. But I've only read the prequel. I actually read the prequel last month. But I found it for $1 at the little, not the local library, the library bookstore. And so I got this so he could add it to his shelf, because I would just read them on ebook. These books are, you know, especially the later books, are quite hefty. But yeah, he wants to collect. He likes the artwork and things, which I do as well. So there's the prequel, and then I have this book sitting in front of me because I pulled it out. I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. I can show you out of order. This is the only book I got at Powell's. The Reshaping of Everyday Life, 1790 to 1840 by Jack Larkin. It's a fascinating history of the daily lives of the Americans in the first 50 years of the New Republic, told often in their own words. And so that idea of things, I really like reading that kind of history, where you're getting like people's daily lives, you know, way back when, and I like being able to connect. You know, I feel like in history books you can as well, like there's like narrative history, but with things like this, like when you're reading like journal entries and letters, I love, especially diaries. I really love that kind of thing. And so when I saw this book, I was like, yes, this sounds really good. Going back to these, the rest of the books are ones I got at the library bookstore. So The Other Side of Oregon, by Ralph Friedman, and I thought this cover was very interesting. And this is all about like pioneering. It came out in 1992, but it's all about like the Oregon Trail and pioneering and farming, the little towns in the area, the different animals, crime and ghost towns, bears, winter, so yeah, all sorts of things. There are pictures as well. So it's basically like a mini history of Oregon. And here's the author on the back with his dog. Yeah, I've never heard of this author before, but I wonder if he writes. I feel like when I was scanning, like, you know, thumbing my way through this, I feel like he's written quite a few books on Oregon, so I'll have to check him out. Okay. This next book is just absolutely falling apart. Like the French flaps are no longer flappy. It's just like tucked in here. So I'm surprised it held together at the bookstore. And it's not going to last long unless I get like one of those library plastic things where I can, like, you know, place it in there. I think it's the only way I'm going to salvage this. But There Have to Be Six, a true story of pioneering in the Midwest by Amelia Muller. And it has one of those old-timey covers, but this is a true story of the experiences of the author's family of 6 children and parents in the early pioneer days in the Midwest, beginning in Kansas, then going to Texas, Oklahoma, and finally back to Kansas. The family experiences many struggles and successes. The author is one of the children and writes from the background of firsthand experiences. So this, I love these like memoir or like, type books of like, them experiencing things firsthand. And this book came out in 1966. So even though the dust jacket is absolutely falling apart, I had to get it. I like when else would I see it with a perfect dust jacket? Okay, a few more books. Let me see here. So Second Nature by Michael Pollan. And this is, let me see here. And so he was an editor for the Harper's Magazine, and he bought an old dairy farm in Connecticut. He planted a garden and attempted to follow Thoreau's example. Do not impose your own will upon the wilderness, the woodchucks, or the weeds. That ethic did not, of course, work, but neither did pesticides or firebombing. So Michael Pollan began to think about the troubled borders between nature and contemporary life. And so this is kind of like another gardening book as well. Gardening, nature, his own experiences trying gardening. So yeah, there's that one. Then I have Wintergreen, Listening to the Land's Heart by Robert Michael Pyle. I read another book by him a couple years ago. And so he writes books set in like the Northwest to me, kind of like, it's like north of Astoria, which is on the like the tippy corner of Oregon. He's like right up in Washington. And so this is about the tale of survival in the Willapa Hills of Southwest Washington. They talk about the community and the forest community, and like the logging and things like that. And so animal, plant, and human stories. so yeah. Let's see. We have Reflections on Moving Water, River Walking by Kathleen Dean Moore. So you can see here, there's a theme of nature books. But what caught my eye was on the back here. It was saying that her writing, like that of Annie Dillard or Edward Hoagland, shows us a vast, complex, partly hidden, and startling world that has always been right before our eyes. It's 20 elegant essays that she invites us to travel through the West with her. And so yeah, mentioning Annie Dillard and nature writing, I'm like, I'm on board. I'm sold. I don't need more than that. And then the last book is Providence of a Sparrow, Lessons from a Life Gone to the Birds by Chris Chester. And so let's see. This is let's see. Bee fell. Okay, hold on. This doesn't make sense. Bee. It's like the word is cut off here. Or maybe the bird is named just the letter B. Okay, B fell 25 feet from his nest into the life of Chris Chester. Oh yeah, okay, it is. I see the second paragraph. It's just, never mind. So the word isn't cut off. It's just the bird's name. B and Chester spent hours together playing games like fetch or hide and seek. So yeah, I like these kind of books as well, where you're just getting to learn, about one wildlife creature that comes into your life, and so yeah, birds or little. I've read books where there's like a raccoon or a bat, or dogs and cats and that as well. So this sounds charming. So okay, so those are all the books. I can't share the pile with you because it's like there's lots of heavy books in there, but and they're kind of teeter-tottering here. But maybe I should turn them around a little bit in case they're picked for this card game. Okay, so I have a deck of cards. It took me forever to find these deck of cards, by the way, because I don't play card games hardly ever. But I got this card deck from Brandon Sanderson. Was doing like the mystery boxes every month, along with when he was publishing his like mystery books back when he was doing that fundraiser or crowdfunding thing, and like made all those records. And so my boyfriend, again, like the fantasy reader, he signed up for those boxes, and so we got a deck of cards. And this is Doomslug, which is in the books I actually read. For Brandon Sanderson, I've read the 3 books in the Mistborn trilogy, all of the books in the Stormlight Archive trilogy, which are that trilogy series, which are the really big books. And then I've read his YA, is it Starcraft? I want to say it's Starflight. It's like his YA sci-fi series. And so Doomslug is like the sidekick character in this series. So I've shuffled them all up, and then I have my prompts here. I'm sorry this video is gonna probably be going on for quite a while, but hopefully not much longer with it. So yeah, I just thought it'd be fun. I'm in a chatty mood, and I just wanted to share all the bookish things with you. Okay, so I shuffled the cards. So let's see here. The first one is a king, and so I'm not exactly sure what's going on with these cards, but I just thought they're like a hoot, so I just wanted to share them with you. So this is a king, and it doesn't, for this game, it doesn't matter the color or the suite, if it's a heart or a spade or whatever, it's just what the actual card is. So it's a king. So going to my list of prompts here. So king is genre, and so if I can zoom in so you can, I'll share it with you. Okay, so there you go. So it's your favorite genre is 1 point. I get 3 points if I pick the host favorite genre, or the third with the highest points is rarely read genre. Okay, so I've been trying to get to 5 points, but for rarely read genre, that would be like sci-fi or like psychology books. I'm trying to think stuff I almost never pick up. Yeah, psychology books, self-help, those kind of things. I don't read a lot of self-help and those kind of things, or business books, economics. There's not that I like history and things, but yeah. So I'm probably gonna go with my favorite genre. So that would be lots of nonfiction, and for actual like fiction, it would be mystery. So I'm gonna first go to my TBR that I had selected from the oldest August. I wish I could maybe I can bring the camera over here. Let me see. So I only have one pile of books left. Let's see if I can get them real quick. So these are the books left on my TBR. So I don't have any mystery here. I have my Garb August Sweet Valley High picks, and then I have lots of nonfiction. So I have another with these Library of America. I have Will and Cather to choose from, Virginia Woolf. I have the 2 middle grade. I have a book on seeds that's been sitting on my shelf for quite a while. So let's see. I'm probably going to go with nature. So I have a couple books here. I have Wild Within, Rescuing Owls, The Grizzlies of Mount McKinley, and Far From Any Coast to choose from. So I'm going to pick one of those. Let me push this to the side. I think I'm gonna go with Wild Within. Speaking of like the book on the birds, so it's getting me in the mindset of that. So I'm gonna go with Wild Within: How Rescuing Owls Inspire a Family by Melissa Hart. So I'm gonna pick 2 more books for my TBR for this weekend. So the next card is a 2. Again, these cards, the characters on them. Okay, so for the card 2, it's let me flip this over. So it's related to your last read. So it's going to 1 point in the same genre, 3 points for the same color, and 5 points for the same letter of the author's last name. So once I finish this book, so this is going to be T for Twain. I'm going to pick. Let's see if any of these count. Sorry. I'm working this here. Oh, I have Tavali here. So this is one I could choose from. The book on seeds. And then, is there any other tea books? Now look at my recently acquired books. There might not be. I might have to do this. If I'm going to read the Owl book in Twain, I might want to mix it up with the genre here and pick something that's not nonfiction. Well, there's Thornhill, but that's the title of the book. I'll have to see. Let's see if I can bring the camera over. Let me move this out of the way. And I'm going to go to my middle grade shelf, and let's see what we can find there. I'm trying to focus solely on the books on my shelf until I go on my work trip at the end of the month. Well, that's when I'm going to switch completely to ebooks. So let me, sorry if I'm going to jiggle the camera. I'm going to try and do this. Okay. So let me see here. Let me get my library books out of the way. So I have my books alphabetized. Move my fan out of the way. Okay. So, looking for T. I just have the ones, so I guess this will be it. Okay, so let me move the camera back. Okay, so I have Kate's Babysitting Job by Martha Towles. So I'm going to read that one. Okay, so then I want to pick one more card. Oh, it's another two. I just opened this deck of cards and shuffled them, so I don't think I shuffled that well. So I'm going to ignore that one. Let's see. I got a 5 for a cherry doom slug, I guess. Okay, so for 5, that is the host read. Any book the host has read, rated 4 or 5 stars, or a book from the host's July TBR. So I'm going to have to pause here and then go look and see if I can find a book on, I don't think a book on my TBR might not be what they have read, but maybe some of these nonfiction books. Anyway, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I didn't have to look far because for my TBR pile, I did have some fiction mixed in there. And so, speaking of this one, I just mentioned this early in the video because I had found this one by Rebecca Stead. And I mentioned how this is one of the oldest books I have. So this is one that Chloe at Always Booked read and reviewed. She like a middle rating on it, like a 3-star. But I'm going to give this one a go because I wanted to read it in a way. It's going to tick off multiple boxes here because it's going to check off my Newbery list and for this deck of TBR-a-thon, and it fits for oldest August. So 3 checks there. So that one will be a win. So I think these 3 books, along with the books I'm currently reading, will do me, get me through the weekend. And I don't think I will need anymore because it's just I'm filming this Friday night, so I only have 2 days to get through these. And so and I guess I'll throw the Main Street book in there because I am going to be reading through that one. So I have this pile of books, the Mark Twain, and then from Ring Main Street, and then for the deck of TBR-a-thon, Katie's Babysitting Job, one of these older Apple paperbacks that I really like. I like the artwork and everything. I just think they're very charming. When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead, and Wild Within, How Rescuing Owls Inspire a Family by Melissa Hart. So there you go. Sorry for the long video, but I just thought it would be fun to just sit down. I feel like, if I had you over, then we could just chat about books and like you could help me pick out books. And so I just wanted to kind of like put that in with this video. And I think I mentioned already, I'm really enjoying this card game. So it's something I would consider for future TBRs. Future, because I like creating my own TBR, but it's really fun to get the most points. I'm just really competing with myself. I am going to be posting the points for my team, but it's more like a challenge within myself of getting the harder level of the 5 points and things like that. That's like the mystery of ooh, I finished one. Okay, what's next challenge gonna be? But anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.